Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video. My name is Nick, and in today's video we're reading The Law and the Promise by Neville Goddard, chapter 2. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So, chapter 2, The Law and the Promise. Dwell therein. My God, I heard this day that none doth build a stately habitation, but he that means to dwell therein. What house more stately hath there been, or can be, than is man, to whose creation all things are in decay? George Herbert. I wish it were true of man's noble dreams, but unfortunately perpetual construction, deferred occupancy, is the common fault of man. Why build a stately habitation, unless you intend to dwell therein? Why build a dream house and not dwell therein? This is the secret of those who lie in bed awake while they dream things true. They know how to live in their dream until, in fact, they do just that. Man, through the medium of a controlled waking dream, can predetermine his future. That imaginal activity of living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled leads man across a bridge of incident to the fulfillment of the dream. If we live in the dream, thinking from it and not of it, then the creative power of imagining will answer our adventurous fancy, and the wish fulfilled will break in upon us and take us unawares. Man is all imagination. Therefore, man must be where he is in imagination, for his imagination is himself. To realize that imagination is not something tied to the senses or enclosed within the spatial boundary of the body is most important. Although man moves about in space by movement of his physical body, he need be so restricted. He can move by a change in what he is aware of. However real the scene on which sight rests, man can gaze on one never before witnessed. He can always remove the mountain if it upsets his concept of what life ought to be. This ability to mentally move from things as they are to things as they ought to be is one of the most important discoveries that man can make. It reveals man as a center of imagining with powers of intervention, which enable him to alter the course of observed events, moving from success to success through a series of mental transformations of nature, of others and himself. For many years, a doctor and his wife dreamed about their stately habitation, but not until they imaginatively lived in it did they manifest it. Here is their story. Some 15 years ago, Mrs. M and I purchased a lot on which we built a 2-story building housing our office and living area. We left ample space on the lot for an apartment building. If and when our finances would permit, all those years we were busy paying off our mortgage, and at the end of that time had no money for the additional building we still desired so much. It was true that we had an ample savings account which meant security for our business, but to use any part of it for a new building would be to jeopardize that security. But now your teaching awakened a new concept, boldly telling us we could have what we most desired through the controlled use of our imagination, and that realizing a desire was made more convincing without money. We decided to put it to a test to forget about money and concentrate our attention on the thing we desired in this world, the new apartment building. With this principle in mind, we mentally constructed the new building as we wanted it, actually drawing physical plans so we could better formulate our mental picture of the completed structure, never forgetting to think from the end, in our case the completed occupied building. We took many imaginative trips through our apartment house, renting the units to imaginary tenants, examining in detail every room, and enjoying the feeling of pride as friends offered congratulations on the unique planning. We brought into our imaginal scene one friend in particular. I shall call her Mrs. X, a lady we had not seen for some time, as she had given us up socially, believing us a bit peculiar in our new way of thinking. In our imaginal scene, we took her through the building and asked how she liked it. Hearing her voice distinctly, we had her reply, "Doctor, I think it's beautiful." One day while talking together of our building, my wife mentioned a contractor who had constructed several apartment houses in our neighborhood. We knew of him only by the name that appeared on signs adjacent to the building under construction, but realizing that if we were living in the end we would not be looking for a contractor, we promptly forgot this angle. Continuing these periods of daily imagining for several weeks, we both felt we were now fused with our desire and had successfully been living in the end. One day a stranger entered our office and identified himself as the contractor whose name my wife had mentioned weeks before. In an apologetic manner, he said, "I don't know why I stopped here. I normally don't go to see people, but rather people come to see me." He explained that he passed our office often and had wondered why there wasn't an apartment building on the corner lot. We assured him we would like very much to have such a building there, but that we had no money to put into the project, not even the few $100s it would take for plans. Our negative response did not faze him, and seemingly compelled, he began to figure and devise ways and means to carry out the job, unasked and unencouraged by us. Forgetting the incident, we were quite startled when a few days later this man called, informing us that plans were completed and that the proposed building would cost us $30,000. We thanked him politely and did absolutely nothing. We knew we had been living imaginatively in the end of a completed building, and that imagination would assemble that building perfectly without any outside assistance from us. So we were not surprised when the contractor called again the next day to say he had found a set of blueprints in his files that fitted our needs perfectly, with few alterations. This, we were informed, would save us the architect's fee for new plans. We thanked him again and still did nothing. Logical thinkers would insist that such negative response from prospective customers would completely end the matter. Instead, 2 days later, the contractor again called with the news that he had located a finance company willing to cover the necessary loan with the exception of a few $1,000s. It sounds incredible, but we still did nothing. For remember, to us the building was completed and rented, and in our imagination, we had not put one penny into its construction. The balance of this tale reads like a sequel to Alice in Wonderland, for the contractor came to our office the next day and said, as though presenting us with a gift, "You people are going to have that new building anyway. I've decided to finance the balance of the loan myself. If this is agreeable, I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers, and you can pay me back out of the net profits from rentals." This time we did do something. We signed the papers, and construction began immediately. Most of the apartment units were rented before final completion, and all but one occupied the day of completion. We were so thrilled by the seemingly miraculous events of the past few months that for a while we didn't understand this seemingly flaw in our imaginal picture. But knowing what we had already accomplished through the power of imagining, we immediately conceived another imaginal scene. In it, this time, instead of showing the party through the unit and hearing the words, "We'll take it," we ourselves in imagination visited tenants who had already moved in that apartment. We allowed them to show us through the rooms and heard their pleased and satisfied comments. 3 days later, that apartment was rented. Our original imaginary drama had objectified itself in every detail, save one, and that one became a reality when 1 month later our friend Mrs. X surprised us with a long overdue visit, expressing her desire to see our new building. Gladly we took her through, and at the end of the tour, heard her speak the line we had heard in our imagination so many weeks before, as with emphasis on each word she said, "Doctor, I think it is beautiful." Our dream of 15 years was realized, and we know now that it could have been realized any time within those 15 years, if we had known the secret of imagining and how to live in the end of our desire. But now it was realized. Our one big desire was objectified, and we did not put one penny of our own money into it. Dr. M. Through the medium of a dream, a controlled, waking dream, the doctor and his wife created reality. They learned how to live in their dream house as, in fact, now they do. Although help seemingly came from without, the course of events was ultimately determined by the imaginal activity of the doctor and his wife. The participants were drawn into their imaginal drama because it was dramatically necessary that they should be. Their imaginal structure demanded it. All things by a law divine in one another's being mingle. One must adopt either the way of imagination or the way of sense. No compromise or neutrality is possible. He who is not for me is against me. When man finally identifies himself with his imagination rather than his senses, he has at long last discovered the core of reality. I have often been warned by self-styled realists that man will never realize his dream by simply imagining that it is already here. Yet man can realize his dream by simply imagining that it is already here. That is exactly what this collection of stories proves. If only men were prepared to live imaginatively in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, advancing confidently in their controlled waking dream, then the power of imagining would answer their adventurous fancy, and the wish fulfilled would break in upon them and take them unawares. Nothing is more continuously wonderful than the things that happen every day to the man with imagination sufficiently awake to realize their wonder. Observe your imaginal activities, imagine better than the best you know, and create a better world for yourself and others. Live as though the wish had come, even though it is yet to come, and you will shorten the period of waiting. The world is imaginal, not mechanistic. Imaginal acts, not blind fate. Determine the course of history. All right, guys, that was chapter 2 of The Law and the Promise by Neville Goddard out of the Neville Reader. So we'll go ahead and go through the key points. So got a few key points. Let's see. All right, so although man moves about in space by movement of his physical body, he need not be so restricted. You can move by a change of what you are aware of. Mentally move from things as they are to things as they ought to be. So this is another important point. So mentally move from what you see in the sense world to what you want to see in the sense world mentally. So I always use the example of getting a new job or new car or a new body, getting in shape. You have to die to the concept of your current self and be reborn in the concept that you want to see, which is exactly what it says here. Mentally move from things as they are to things as they ought to be. So you have to always live in the end of your imaginal scene, your desire, your manifestation. One must adopt either the way of imagination or the way of sense. No compromise or neutrality is possible. He who is not for me is against me. So once again, guys, you have to either choose imagination or the way of sense. So all our lives we've been going off of the way of sense, and we've been getting mixed results basically. So I encourage everybody to at least try try creating an imaginal scene of what you want, whether that be getting in shape, getting a new car, job, a significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case is. Attempt it. It's imagination. We've lived our whole lives going off of the way of sense, what we see in the outside world. So I believe it's worth a shot to at least try this, to try what Neville is talking about, what Neville is trying to teach, and use our imagination so we can create our reality in the objective world. So imagine better than the best you know and create a better world for yourself and others. Live as though the wish had come, even though it is yet to come, and you will shorten the period of waiting. So once again, that goes right back to what we were saying. You must live as though the wish has already been fulfilled. So for the example of being in shape, live as though you are already in shape. You're that big, muscular, macho man, the slim, curvy young lady. Whatever the case is, whatever your goals are, live as if you are that already, and the period of time will shorten. So it's a day-by-day thing, and like I say in other videos, everything is now. So as long as you're living that mentally in the now, then eventually your life will, you'll turn around, you'll look around, and your life will be exactly how you dreamed it. That's usually how things go, guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching. This is the end of the video. If you enjoyed that video, please smash that like button, help get this video out to more people, and tap the subscribe button, help us with our current goal of 1,000 subscribers. And if you have any questions about anything in this video or anything I talk about on the channel, you can always email me at info@tycoontalk.xyz, or you can leave a comment in the comment section below. I read all the comments. I try to get back to all my emails as soon as possible for you guys. So any questions, go ahead and send them to me. And let me know any topics you want me to cover or go more in depth about in the comment section below. I know we're going through a lot of information in these books, so if you want me to go more in detail on a certain point, a certain passage that you've seen, just let me know and I will for sure make that happen. I'll make a video on that. And if you like this video, be sure to check out all the other videos on my channel where I talk about making money with cryptocurrency, how to fix your credit, and the financial system, and much, much more, man. There's a lot of cool stuff. So if you like this, I'm pretty sure you're going to like those things as well. So be sure to check out the playlist. I have everything organized over there. And that is it, guys. May infinite abundance flow to you now and forever, my friends. I thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace.